You fall in love. Then comes the difficult task of planning the perfect wedding. Lifting the veil, an inside look at wedding planning. And here's your host, Wedding Entertainment Director, Larry Williams.
Hello and welcome. I'm coming to you today from the Chateau at Incline. This is the country club located on the golf course at Incline Village. Just a beautiful facility that's been here for many, many years. And if you get a chance to check it out sometime, I know you're going to fall in love with it. Today's episode is all about testimonials and reviews and why they're so important. You know, from the moment you start planning a wedding, one of the first things you think about is interviewing the vendors, which we're going to get to in our next episode. But you have to do some research first. And it's not uncommon for brides and grooms to be overwhelmed and flying by the seat of their pants and flying blind, so to speak, on what to do, what to ask, who to look for, where do you begin looking? Obviously, you could do a Google search. That's a great place to start. Some of the other places and places you'll find wedding vendors are from word of mouth testimonials. That's a great source because they have firsthand knowledge of the wedding vendor they're trying to promote or trying to tell you about. So take those, very seriously. If you have a bridesmaid or an aunt or an uncle who gives you a word of mouth testimonial of a vendor they've worked with that they love, that's really good stuff. Secondly is a personal experience. You might have been to a wedding yourself and seen something you really like and said, you know what, when I get married, I'm going to contact that vendor because I've seen their work and I know how good they are. Also is a high recommendation coming from a wedding professional. These are people that work with vendors day in and day out, so they know their stuff as well. It could be for a facility, it could be for a photographer, a cake maker, a DJ, or a musician. So take those high recommendations very seriously because, again, if it's coming from a professional, they know what professionalism is. Very important. Also, want to talk about referral lists because you'll find those at just about every banquet facility. You'll also find referral lists from other small businesses, photographers and DJs and cake makers and that sort of thing. Here's the thing about referral lists. Referral lists are great to get a start to find a wedding vendor and begin the process. But here's what I want you to take into real careful consideration. If the vendor you're looking at or thinking about, who you like, may not be on that referral list, don't let that bother you. Here's why. In the wedding business here in Lake Tahoe and Reno and all across the United States, facility managers change hands quite frequently. Sometimes, like here at the Chateau, the facility manager's been here for a long time. We're talking more than a decade. And you'll find that at different facilities. But at other facilities, they might come in every 6 months, 9 months, or 3 or 4 or 5 years. The important thing here is when facility managers come to a new facility, sometimes they bring the referral list and they bring the people they've worked with before at the last facility with them. That means a wedding vendor who has tried hard and gotten on the referral list and worked really hard at their craft to please those customers here at the facility or a particular facility. They may have switched facility managers. That's all it is. They've switched facility managers and then that vendor has to start all over again to reintroduce themselves to the new facility manager and begin the process of gaining their trust so they'll be referred. So think of referrals as, referral lists as more of a trust gainer. The trust has been gained by that facility manager that refers them. So just because you don't see a vendor on a referral list, that's okay. Okay? If you see them on the referral list, sure, call those because it's great to work with people that they're familiar with. But definitely take a strong look at the fact that even if they're not on that list, they could still be a phenomenal vendor. They just haven't made contact or built up a rapport yet with that facility manager. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about referrals and testimonials. And after the break, I'm going to share with you what to look for when checking out online referrals and testimonials. I'll be right back.
If you're planning an upcoming wedding, consider this. The Reno Tahoe DJ Company is a nationally recognized provider of first-class wedding entertainment. Professional, experienced, appropriate. Expect the finest in quality from the first consultation to the final dance.
The Reno Tahoe DJ Company, referred by more wedding professionals and preferred by more brides. Visit renodj.com.
Welcome back. So I'm going to break down some information regarding referrals and testimonials and why they're such an important part of the booking process and the interview process as you look for qualified and competent wedding vendors. Now, there's many different online referral sources you can go to. You've all heard of Yelp. Yelp is like one of the most popular for businesses. It's not really the biggest for wedding businesses, but it's still a great resource. Places like Wedding Wire, The Knot, Google, Yelp, and Facebook, they all have definitely a referral type of thing where people can go in there and select a 5-star referral system and say something about the business that they want to comment on. The one thing that's really cool with a lot of these, Yelp and Google and Wedding Wire and The Knot, they've all used or have adopted the 5-star system, which is the same customer service standard used in hotels, and it's used in customer service surveys, it's used in restaurants, 5-star service. And they have adopted that standard, which makes it really easy for the consumer. Okay, so you want to look for reviews. And if you don't see, if you're looking at a particular business and you don't see they have a lot of Facebook testimonials or a lot of Yelp testimonials, don't panic. That's okay, because some vendors focus their attention on only 1 or 2 different platforms. They might focus specifically on Wedding Wire or The Knot and Google. They might pick 1 or 2. You don't have to find, dozens and dozens of referrals on each one of those platforms. So just because you find a few reviews and testimonials on one particular platform and you don't see a lot on another, that's okay. They just don't market to that platform or tell their customers to leave a review there. So take that definitely out of the mix. Look for reviews and testimonials on any of those platforms, but don't think that they have to have them on all of those online platforms. Now, what does the testimonial focus on? That's the next thing you want to look at strongly. What are they keying into? Because the cool part about the testimonials that are online, they come from brides and grooms after the fact, after the wedding is completed, and they leave, a few words. What are they keying into? Because they're just like you, and they might focus on, hey, this person's pre-event planning was astounding, or I was really able to every time I called them, they were quick with returning a phone call. That's stuff you don't read about on a website or talk to somebody in an interview and get that information. So when they could talk to you about returning phone calls or their work ethic, when you see a review or testimonial talk about the flexibility that the vendor offers or the personalization that they put into the event, that's something that's braggadocious if it comes from a wedding vendor. So therefore, you're letting the brides and grooms tell you about the things they really keyed into that really made them love this vendor. So those are some of the things to look at, to focus on when you're looking at a review or a testimonial. Here's another thing. Don't worry about 4 stars. They're 5-star reviews, right? But if you see a vendor that's got a few 4-star reviews, that's perfectly fine. And you know why? Some people, when they leave a review, they leave all 5 stars. Boom, boom, boom. They hit the mark on everything. They were great. But some people wouldn't give a 5-star review to, the greatest wedding vendor in the world because they're just not the type of person to rate everything perfect. They might say, well, it was 4, it was good, it was decent, or this sort of thing. So 4-star reviews are perfectly fine. Don't let a 4-star review you see from a vendor, don't let that think that, oh, that's less, they're not as good. Some consumers will not leave a 5-star review because that sets a standard as absolutely phenomenal, perfect, cannot be beat, and again, they just don't necessarily, in reality, always leave 5-star reviews. So 4-star reviews are just as good and definitely something to take at heart, okay? Also, bad reviews are sometimes more important than the good reviews. When you're looking at a vendor and you see a whole bunch of 5-star reviews, and then you see several 1-star or 2-star reviews, you want to read them. You want to find out what's going on there. But more importantly, when you read that review that's a 1-star or a 2-star that might be really, really bad, you want to find out how the vendor responded to it. That's going to tell you the secret. If it's a trustworthy review or it just is coming from somebody that just, there's no pleasing them. There's always an explanation as to, what that person reviewing was going through that the vendor can shed some light on. So always, if you're looking at 1- and 2-star reviews, again, those are not always good. And if a company has lots and lots of them, there's probably a reason. But what's most important is how the vendor responds to it. Were they professional? Did they lay out the specifics about what the complaint or the insufficient review was all about? So take a strong look at vendor response when looking at bad reviews. And finally, video testimonials. If you get an opportunity to see a video testimonial on a website from an actual bride or groom, that should be huge, because there you're hearing and seeing emotion. You're hearing and seeing the excitement that they have when they're sharing a positive review. So video testimonials are the best. They're the biggest, but you don't see them as often. So again, when you're doing your due diligence to interview vendors, which we're going to talk about in the next episode, when you're about to interview vendors, do your homework first. Do your research. Look at online reviews. Again, Wedding Wire, The Knot, Google, Yelp, Facebook. These are all great platforms where you'll find reviews, 5 stars and below, but you'll be able to check them all out. You know a few things now to look for as you're checking out these reviews and checking out these vendors and doing your due diligence before you begin the interview process. We'll see you next time here on Lifting the Veil. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media.